been lounging with Skip. You've been lounging with Skip. Oh, yeah.
Yo, what's going on, peoples? This is Skip. You're lounging with Skip. Welcome y'all to another episode. At the present moment, I'm sitting here with, a legend in the game.
There you go with that.
Music producer, artist, father, songwriter. What else?
I think that's enough.
That's enough? Okay. I'm sitting here with A-Tone.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm happy to be here with y'all with my man Skip. We here.
Lounging with Skip.
Lounging. You need to get in the lounge with us. You need to get in the lounge.
Yes, sir. So, I want you to talk to me and tell me, start from your beginning.
Wow, man. My beginning. Yeah. I often tell this story. I got my beginning at church. The first time I ever went to church, I think I was 5 years old.
So was this your introduction into music?
Introduction into music,
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was 5 years old, man. I went to church and I heard the Hammond organ.
Okay.
And I was mesmerized, dude. It almost put me in a state of shock. That was the first time I had ever really heard live music. And I remember telling my mother, I want to do that.
Okay. At age 5.
At age 5. I was locked and loaded, man. I went home, got me a skateboard out, started playing music, making music with my mouth with my little skateboard. Man, I did that probably till I was about 6 or 7. And then my mother got me a little keyboard. It probably had 3 keys on it or something. But, it was an upgrade from my skateboard instead of riding it. I should have been riding that skateboard, but I was making music with it.
This is at age 6.
This is at age 6. And then I could just,
What artists were out back then around that?
Oh, wow, man.
What are some of your influences when you were 6 years old that you heard on the radio and you were like, wow?
Ironically, man, my mother didn't play the radio in the house.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We didn't really have no radio. It was just you go to church and you come home. That was it. So I didn't really have a lot of music influences. Probably my stepfather, started playing Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, Motown stuff. I'm a 70s baby, so everybody had Motown, Stax, so you got to hear Superfly and all that kind of stuff. So I started hearing that stuff, but my mother never really let us listen to it. She kept us kind of honed in on the church thing.
Okay. So at age 6, you got this keyboard.
I got this keyboard and drove everybody in the damn neighborhood crazy with it because it was just noise. Because they couldn't. It was either get piano lessons with no piano or have a keyboard and teach yourself. I wanted the keyboard, so I just started teaching myself. I struggled, because my hands were little. I could hear music in my mind, but my hands couldn't do it. So I would sit there and just cry because I hadn't developed the skill to be able to play the music yet.
Okay.
So through just sitting there practicing, I pretty much taught my own self by just hearing it. And, I had to just really just be able to pick up stuff really fast because I didn't have a lot of time to sit with my instrument. So,
do you remember the first melodies you tried to recreate with that keyboard?
Yeah, I just tried to play stuff like Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Okay.
Stuff, just try to pick up stuff because, during that process in the public school system, they had music class. So in 3rd grade, which is about 6-ish, 7-ish, I started playing the flute, and I picked that up, and it just real fast.
Okay.
And then my brother, I grew up 3 brothers. It was 4 of us. Everybody had a different instrument, so they didn't really care too much about it. So when my brother would put his trumpet down, I'll pick his trumpet up. I'm gonna play the trumpet.
Okay.
And my brother would put his clarinet down and go ride his skateboard. I'd pick up his clarinet. So I just was drawn to different instruments and different sounds. Through that, I kind of learned how to play and read music, at school. I'm just on the basic level.
This is grade school.
Yeah, this is grade school. But the piano is different because you're playing multiple sounds at once.
Okay.
With a single tone instrument, you just basically learning one note at a time. A piano is a whole nother ball game.
Okay. So this led up to what like what, junior high?
Yeah, that led up to like junior high. I started directing the choir because I could just hear music.
So you were directing the choir in
at
junior
7,
high?
yeah, at 7.
At 7 years old or 7th grade?
No, 7.
7 years old?
I started directing the choir and singing and just writing little songs, you know what I mean? At church, everybody's like, oh, that's cute. He wrote a little song. You know, I was happy to be able to just do anything to be able to show my talent. So, I started because I could hear most people I didn't know can't hear harmonies. Like, I could just hear. Like, I automatically heard one note and just knew where everything else would go with it. I never thought of it as a gift when I was young because my parents didn't play music, so they didn't really understand it. And then by, that time I started picking out little songs and being able to play. And then that led into like high school, and everybody was like, wow, you really can play. You really can sing. And, one thing led to another.
Where'd you grow up?
Man, I tell people, I grew up in Compton, Watts, in Inglewood, and like all of, when you poor, you move where you can live. Okay. So you live with this auntie in Compton, that uncle in Watts. We were poor, man. I didn't have a lot when I grew up, man.
Okay. So junior high comes. So what happens in junior high?
In junior high, man, the rap game hit the scene. Okay. You know what I mean? Houdini, like first rap ever. Okay. Like, hard time, don't, that type of rap where guys was just rapping on top of instrumentals. That hit the street. My mother we still, devout church people. She ain't having it. Right, okay. So I literally.
So you had to sneak?
I had to sneak and go try to get down with the guys. I grew up in the same neighborhood as DJ Quick, Dr. Dre. All them guys were like guys I grew up with. They're like a little bit older than me. They're like my older brother's age. But I was the only guy that could actually play some music. So they would try to sneak me in the studio and do little stuff like that. But my mom just was not having it. So, I started getting influenced, but not a lot. Okay. And, that's pretty much where I started getting my other influences, in junior high school.
When you say your other influences?
Because most of the music that I heard was church music. Because my mother was not having no R&B, nothing in her house. She was devout Christian lady, was not having it. Only thing you can listen to was Edwin Hawkins, James Cleveland, and people like that. Okay. So the actual first record, because by that time I'm in junior high, I'm actually playing music for a church. So they were paying me, I think, like $25 a week or something like that, which was a lot of money in that time. The first record I bought was Square Biz, man, and I thought Tina Marie. I thought I was in heaven when you were that woo, when that flipped me out. Biz, that was the first 45 record I bought.
So it was the 45.
It was the 45, and I had to sneak and buy that.
Really?
And we could only play it when she wasn't at the house because she didn't allow different kinds of music to be in the house.
So when you were that age, did you look at like the credits and see that like this like produced by or written by, or you were just tripping off the fact that this was Tina Marie and the actual music itself?
I didn't even trip off of it was Tina Marie. I just liked the song, and the song made me feel good. I didn't really know who was singing it. I don't know who wrote it. I never really even paid any attention to that. I was just happy to have a record, you know what I mean? So that was my thing with it. I wasn't really even drawn to that part of it.
Okay. So this led up into high school.
In high school, me and my brother, we everybody, the rap game hit Compton. Okay. So we're church boys. That was the thing.
That was NWA and all that started hitting.
NWA, all that stuff started to hit. The Battle Ram, those type of guys. The songs were coming out. And, MTV had just hit the scene.
With Yo
MTV Rap. So if you could rap, you was cool. So me and my brother was like, you know what? The church thing, we ain't hitting no girls with this. So we going to have to learn how to do something so we can be cool. Okay. So, he started rapping. And I really didn't want to be in competition with him. So I started doing beatboxes and making beats with my mom. When we heard the little Dougie Fresh thing, we thought we was the LA version of the Get Fresh crew, So... that started happening, and then guys at school would come and we would just battle rap. And I was the guy that always made the beats for the rapper. So that's how I got the name A-Tone, because I could pretty much make any beat any kind of way with my mouth. That came from practicing the piano on the skateboard, because I didn't have a keyboard, so I would have to make the sounds with my mouth to try to have some music because the skateboard didn't make any music.
You was making music on a skateboard?
Yeah. That's how I learned how to beatbox at like 5.
Okay,
and then
like
beatboxing. Yeah, I would just sit there and make the music sounds with my mouth.
Okay. So high school. So that's how A-Tone came out.
That's how A-Tone came out.
Okay.
Because I started doing the beatboxing, and I got real popular in Compton with that. Then my parents, we moved from Compton over to because I went to Dominguez High School in Compton, and then we moved over to the West Side, and I wind up going to Dorsey High School.
Okay.
When I got to Dorsey, I'm just the big bad dude from Compton, right? So I get over here. I'm not knowing this dude's over here that's just as talented, right? Mm-hmm. So I get over here, we start rapping, and we wind up battling with a couple of different crews, and then we wind up just kind of coming together as one crew. And we called ourselves the Tough Kid Crew.
Kid Crew.
So all the good rappers got together, and then we started, instead of battling at our school, we would walk over to Crenshaw or the LA High or the Manual Arts and battle those guys because we got tired of battling each other at school.
Now, around what year was this?
Man, this was like, don't make me tell my age, man. This was like 86, 87.
86, 87.
Yeah, dude.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so NWA really haven't hit just yet because Strata Compton came out 88.
Yeah.
So
they hadn't hit yet.
But they were kind of, popping a little bit, but they didn't really hit. So when NWA started popping, with F the Police, things like that, and Dope Man and stuff like that. What kind of scene was Compton in that moment for you? What was the vibe like?
Man, Compton was rough and tough and gritty, man. Right now it's glorified, with the NWA movie coming and Dr. Dre making billions with the Dre beats and all that kind of stuff. But, man, it wasn't a pretty scene, man. It wasn't no easy road, dude. It was a lot of killing, a lot of shooting, a lot of poverty. It was a lot of stuff going on. I was scared for my life every day walking to school, man. I didn't know if I was going to make it home or not. So, and during those times, I wasn't thinking about making music. I was thinking about staying alive. You know what I mean? I was never really drawn to that. I never was a dude that liked fighting. I like playing music. I like girls. I'm like, I don't want to be fighting, getting my knuckles busted up. So I never was drawn to that type of music or even that lifestyle. I could make the music because I was one of the guys who knew how to play, but I never was interested in that type of music, me, myself.
So you graduated from high school, and then what happened?
Well, while I was in high school, I could play music, so I started getting all these little gigs and meeting guys. When you're little, you don't know nobody, man. I wind up working with, like, Cameo and people like that. But to me, they were just old dudes with jerry curls. I didn't know who they were. And then the Gap Band used to own this club called Total Experience on Crenshaw. And they would sneak me in there, and I would
Charlie Wilson.
Yeah, I would play them. And they actually took me up when I was like, 15 or 16 up to the record label, and I got to meet them, and I started working with people like that. Marla Gibbs had a spot over here on King and Van Ness. The Marla's, I forget what it was called, but I used to sneak in there and play too. They would sneak me in, and we would do little gigs and open up and stuff like that.
So Marla Gibbs, she was popping off from the Jeffersons.
From the Jeffersons, yeah. So I was doing stuff like that. In high school, I won a songwriting contest, and I wound up getting to go to Capitol Records, and I met this group called, what was the name of that group? I don't even remember the name of the group, but I met Janet Jackson that night. She was just little Janet Jackson.
Really?
So yeah, we ran around playing tag, and we still little kids. We ain't even thinking like, this is Janet Jackson. We up at Capitol Records, and I'm meeting all these executives and all of these, people, that was already in the music industry. So I was already dealing with it at a high level. I just came from a background where, nobody knew what it was.
Right. And you were like, what, 16, 17?
16, 17, because then we was, in high school, not to bring you back, I met a guy named Glenn, and, he had a keyboard. He had a Juno 106. And, I couldn't play no sports. We playing basketball. He beat me, talking smack. I was like, but I bet if we go to the band room right now, I can get you on a keyboard. He was like, I play keyboard. I've been taking lessons. I'm like, okay, let's go get it. Wind up wearing him out. He was like, oh, you should come over to my house after school, and I'll have a little studio. So we went over there. He had a little studio and everything. And then we started working and writing songs in high school. And then we wind up meeting some other people that took us up. I forget what label. I think it was Motown.
Okay.
And I wind up somehow meeting Teddy Riley through that and doing some little work.
Now during this time, Teddy Riley just was hitting with
yes,
not Guy yet, but he was producing like Cool Mo D.
Cool Mo D, and even that, before that, man, they was still doing. I mean, this is the old Sheila era.
Oh, she.
Yeah, with that ready for the world. Yeah, Melvin Riley. He gonna take you back. So yeah, everybody was on that little thing right there. So he had the exact keyboard because his parents had money that they used to make that record with.
Your boy
Glenn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just started making music with that thing, and we just, one thing led to another, man, and then we start placing little songs back in the day. And then subsequent to that, man, you could write a book with this. I want you to send me this because I need to put this in my book.
No, that's not it.
And I'm still in high school. I know we're moving on, but I have to tell you this because in high school, I wind up going to play at this church, and DJ Rogers was the keyboard player.
Is that the dun, dun, dun,
Say
okay. Yeah. Hold up.
Yeah, DJ Rogers had a bunch of hits.
Okay.
He was related to the pastor something.
Okay.
And Shanice Wilson was there. My brother winds up dating Shanice Wilson.
Okay.
We wind up taking her in the studio with that one little keyboard and actually doing the first demo for her to get her deal for the I Love Your Smile thing.
Okay, Shanice. That's Shanice?
Shanice Wilson, yes.
I like your smile.
Yes.
So that song came out in 91.
Yes.
Okay, so we're basically working the way up.
Yeah.
So we're working the way up.
But we met Shanice, gosh, she must have been 12, 13. I'm a little bit, a couple years older than her. So we were doing those demos then, and then that led into her getting her deal. Not even thinking, I didn't have no business savvy whatsoever. I would just go write songs for people, play keyboards on stuff and all these big records, and I would hear them like, "Oh, I remember that, yeah." But I never was able to put it together because I didn't have any business sense.
So did any of what you played then land on that first album?
You know what? It might have. I'm not sure. It was so long ago. I'm pretty sure it did because we were the reason that she got that deal. Don't tell her that. But, yeah, we were the ones that helped her put that demo together with DJ Rogers to help her get that deal.
Okay. So here we are, 89, 90. Now you finished high school. Now what happens to where, it's like you're getting older now, you're getting more experience.
I'm getting more experience. I'm writing with people, man.
So what people were you writing with? What kind of songs were you writing?
You know what happened? I got to tell this story. I graduated and started working at Kenny Shoes, Santa Monica Mall. So I started working there, and I was advancing in management and all that kind of stuff. And one day I just said to myself,
wasn't even thinking about music no more.
After all, I just kind of just started living my life, and I bought the first sampling keyboard was the Roland W30.
Okay.
No, Mirage was the first one. Okay. This was the first keyboard that had a sampler in it. Okay. So I saved up enough money selling Kenny Shoes, and I bought that W30 keyboard, and I would just stay up all night with it, and I just said, forget this, I'm doing music. So I just started doing music at that point. With that, I made a couple of tracks, and I ran into this guy named Slice. Everybody in Long Beach know this cat because he was the only cat in Long Beach that had a studio. Okay. Slice was the cat that had Domino before anybody knew who he was.
Now you know Domino's from St. Louis.
Yeah.
He's from St. Louis.
Yeah, when Domino came out here to L.A., he landed in Long Beach with my boy Slice. Slice wound up having Snoop, Drake, Daz.
Drake?
Not Drake.
Drake.
Daz, Corrupt. All of the Long Beach cats came from that one little camp because he was the only guy that had a studio back then. Because I think he was the first dude in Compton probably to get an SP 1200. So, and he had his own little studio, so everybody was making beats with him. So I went out there and started hooking up with them and start making, because I could play. They had beat machines. I could play keyboard, so I started working with all of the rappers again
in Long
Beach.
Okay.
Subsequent to that,
what are some of the the guys back then? The names of them back then.
It's like I said, it was Domino. There was another guy named...
So were you part of that, here we go, dun, 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 that album? Was you were part of that album?
I wind up doing the demo of that song, and then somebody else produced it for the record.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that record, you can, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Uh-huh. Dun, 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 dun. I did a couple of songs. I probably did like 4 or 5 songs with Domino. And, man, it's been so long. But yeah, that's how that thing started. And I ran into this guy named Stan Skates.
Okay.
Hooked up with Stan. I'm like, man, I'm out here with this W30 keyboard trying to make my thing work. He was like, well, I've been looking for a producer. I know a lot of people in the music industry. We should hook up. So I wound up hooking up with him, and I wound up just living in his garage. I just never went home. I let my apartment go, everything. I just lived in the studio. I slept on the studio floor, dude. Okay. That's how bad I wanted it. And I just slept on the floor, man, and every day he would have little clients because he was the first person in Inglewood to have a MPC 60. And he had a Soundcraft. He had the Mirage. You know, he had a little money, so he had a really nice studio. So everybody would come. If they didn't go see Slice, they would come to Inglewood and work with him. And then I started working with him. And so I started working with people like Vesta Williams, Brian McKnight.
So they were coming by the studio?
They would come by the studio because he was the only cat in town that had a Studer 16-track machine, the 2-inch machine, and then we had a MPC 60, which had a longer sample time. Because now, guys, with the SB12s, you only had... a minute of sample time, so you had to
less than that. It was probably I think
30 seconds.
Less than that. Maybe about 20 seconds.
So with that,
so cats will slow the sample.
They will
down
slow the sample down. Right. So I'm still writing, and he helped me develop.
Or speed it up. They will
speed it up and then slow it back down. Right. So we're in there doing that, and then me and my brother, we started slowing the 808 snares down. And we would slow them down and make that bass thing happen.
Bass on the actual snare?
Yeah. And so we had an SB12. We got rid of it, moved to the MPC, and started putting them drum kits together on the MPC. And people started calling us the Boom Brothers because we were the ones that in Inglewood and LA started bringing that boom sound to the music. Because like before then, when they would sample, Roger, it was no 808 in there. It was dum 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 dum. You would just hear it like that. But we started putting the 808s on stuff. Okay. So the street music now is starting to get the 808s in it because now cars, dope is on the street. People getting sound systems in their car. And before you would see people riding by with the highs. Right. Well, we started putting the lows in there, and then people started rolling by now, knocking on the low end stuff. So I got popular for flipping songs and adding 808s. And our group then was called the Boom Brothers with my twin brother Chuck.
Okay. All right. We got twin brother?
Our twin brother, man. Long. I know. She might have to come back for part 2 of this podcast. So, man, yeah, we started writing. I know. We started writing and producing for everybody in Compton and LA. Back then, it was big. The city was big because all of the music came from regular guys. And then you had Troop came out. They was Pasadena guys. You had a whole bunch of LA rappers. Ice Cube would come through there. Coolio came through there. It's a funny story. I won't tell it on the podcast. No, I won't tell you because I'll leave it. Anyway, when I met Coolio, let's just say one of the songs that he got rich on, I was in the studio working with that song.
So tell me this, okay. So tell me this, okay. So one of the what?
I ain't gonna say it.
Okay,
we just gonna leave it.
Okay, so one of the songs. So how did that work for you?
I didn't know. There was a sample. I didn't know, dude. You know what I mean?
Okay, so explain it. Talk about that, so people that are listening, you know what I'm saying, they hearing this and they're like, man, well, I want to make sure. Like, what is something for producers out there to make sure that they up on they stuff.
You know what I'm saying? You really have to spend a lot of time. As much being a creative person, my love is in creation. It was just in me. It's born in me. But I had to come to, and we could talk music stories for hours, but we'll come back on another day. But here's you have to learn the business part of it if you want to make money. For me, my desire in my life for a long time was I just want to make music. And I did that, and I was very successful at it. I never added the I want to get paid off my music part to making it. I didn't get that until later on in life. So it depends on what you want. I mean, out of all the songs I wrote, I have written some big songs. I wish I knew more about the money part of it back then and how people were getting paid and how the money was going. You know, that's one part of it. But I wouldn't trade that in for the experience. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like I may not have gotten the experience of working with all the people I work with if I made money the issue in that deal. Because sometimes guys go in and they do have a dope track. They do have something that's really, really hot. But they go in too money hungry, and then the people get turned off, and then the whole deal falls apart. So sometimes the experience of the deal and that part of it is almost as worth as much as the money is in a different way, if it makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. That does make sense. I mean, just the experience and the stories of it. You know what I'm saying? So where did certain things turn around to where you say, you know what, I need to like figure out how to get money from this and this,
that happened way later, man. Because after working with Stan, we met some people. This lady was like, Babyface is starting a label out in California, and I think he might be interested in signing you guys. Well, whatever. So, and this is when Babyface was the man.
Okay.
So we wind up meeting with Babyface and working it out, and we wind up getting a deal with Sony 550.
Okay.
And I got I was one of the first people on the West Coast to get an artist, publishing, production, writing deal.
Now, how does something like that work? so like something like that, like how does something like that work to where you got like an upfront check?
Yeah, because I got an artist check. Because I got like $250,000 on each one.
There we go.
$250,000 as an artist, $250,000 from publishing, $250,000 as a producer, and $250,000 as a writer.
So $1 million?
I had $1 million deal.
$1 million deal.
$1 million deal, and I was 19 years old.
19 years old with $1 million deal. Okay, so continue.
But that's what the game was back then, right? So I started writing for everybody. Tony Braxton, After 7, Tevin Campbell, Tamia,
on Babyface's
on
level.
Babyface's level, and I co-wrote a whole bunch of songs, and Ghost wrote a whole bunch more. Like some of the big records on Waiting to Exhale, I was a very big part of those records happening with Whitney Houston and Tony Braxton and Brandy. And I mean, I've worked with so many people, dude. Sometimes it makes my head spin. I even worked with David Hasselhoff and from Baywatch on a record, produced that for overseas. And by that time, I'm 22, 23. I'm starting to kind of get a little bit aware of the game. I'm like, man, everybody getting broke off. I was getting my advances, but I wasn't getting my publishing money.
Right.
And I didn't know nothing about that. So I would just sign songs off and sign, here's $25,000 for this, when it should have been, here's, you're going to get 50% of this and we're going to split. I just didn't know.
To what the residuals would just be rolling in.
The residual for your lifetime. When you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, so you can't know it.
So in a situation like that, if you did know, could you have just been like, nah, hold on to that. How about you just give me this percentage of, writer's share, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, I got some of my writing, not the way that I should have. But again, the experience of being on the record, sometimes you got to give something up to get something. They're not going to put you on that record if they're not making money on it too. A lot of guys don't realize that everybody on that record has to be able to make money, including the record label.
Right.
So some things you got to give up because there's no way for the record label to make money if you don't. Or the person that brought you in, they're not giving you a fee. There's so many talented people out there, they could use anybody. They're using you, so you're going to have to give up a piece to that. You got to give up a piece to the person you was working with, slept on my man's floor for 5 years to get my, I got to pay him. So there's a lot of, even though you getting big money, it take money to make money. You know what I mean? So I had a lot of people I had to pay to make that money too.
So when you walked 19 years old, walking with $1 million deal, you had to recoup that. They had to recoup. Before you could start seeing everything.
There you go with that.
So how long did that take?
Well, I finished a 7-year cycle with them. They wind up closing down the label, and But in the middle of that, I wind up going out on tour with Diana Ross.
Okay.
And writing songs with her and for her and getting in that camp. So it's like basically one thing just led to another.
So after the 7th year.
No, I'm in the middle of the 7 year. Like maybe when I was like 25, 26, in the middle of it, in the height of it, I started writing songs for Diana Ross, and we were in the studio. And she's like, "Oh, you want to go on tour with me?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." You know, I'm thinking she playing. She's like, "Oh, give me your address." So I gave her my address, and she's like, "Okay, I'll send the tickets in the mail." I'm thinking she playing. I get home, a carrier comes. Here's your tickets. They like, here's the itinerary. It's like 6 months of tour dates, and they like, you leave it Monday. So I'm leaving out of Larrabee, get to my house, it's already there. I went and got me.
So you all over at Larrabee.
I'm at Larrabee North, brother, with Diana Ross.
In North Hollywood.
In North Hollywood. We wrote a song called Don't Stop, and there's a rap in there. She was like, would you guys be interested in singing this song with me on tour? Sure. Whatever. We thinking we going up to the Hollywood Bowl or something, man. The first tour date was in Fort Myers, Florida, because I had never really, did a whole bunch of traveling or nothing like that. I'm from Compton, so I get me a little rusty suitcase and get on an airplane. Get there, my suitcase is all broken by the time I get there. So and that was a whole another 10-year music journey, and I got to meet Michael Jackson.
So you was on tour.
I was on tour with Diana Ross.
What's that tour life like with Diana Ross?
Tour life is out of control, bro. It was wild. It was wild, brother.
And she was doing sold out shows and
every night, sold out across the world. I went across the world with her, dude. Not just America, dude. We went to China, we went to Russia, we went to Japan, and we would stay like 4 or 5 months in a country, just hitting every spot. Germany, every spot. Austria.
Did you ever get like homesick, wanting to come back home?
Absolutely not.
No.
No. I didn't get homesick, man. I lived like a king, man. Diana Ross was really good to me, man. She would never really stay in the suite, so she would give me the suites everywhere we went because she'd fly back home in her private jet. So I would get the presidential suite. I would get, man, king. Lived like a king, man. So we'll have another talk on a tour talk. We ain't gonna have that talk today, but we'll have a tour talk.
So when you finish with Diana, you come back.
When I got back
to LA.
Shortly after that, 9/11 happened. People stopped touring. I got married and started raising my family, and started driving a school bus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just I knew that I couldn't get it at that level again. So I was like, I don't even want to do that. So I just started raising my family. I got married, had kids, and just started doing different stuff.
So I mean, the music is just kind of... Okay, so hold on a minute. So you're an artist, though.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's talk about the artist in you.
So the artist part, I've always had a love for music, growing up in the church. So when I got back off tour, I put together like a gospel group.
Yeah.
Here's another experience that could have paid off. And I started doing hip-hop gospel.
Okay.
Because nobody had ever heard of that. Because I had been in New York hanging out with Puffy and hanging out with all of these. Yes, I know all of those cats. So I started bringing the rap thing now into the church. I was one of the first guys to bring the rap thing into the church. They didn't like. They was kicking me out. I came in there with jerseys, hats to the back. Yeah. Girls got on pants. We brought a DJ in there like it was a nightclub and just ripped the church apart. And the people loved it, but the pastors was like, we ain't having it. So I started doing that after I got off tour with Diana Ross. And so I went back into the gospel thing, and then I started working with Vicky Mack over at Gospel Centric, started, kind of doing stuff with Kirk Franklin and Trinity 5-7 and just doing the whole gospel thing and really just being a pioneer in bringing that whole sound to the market because it didn't even exist.
So the album that you have that's out right now, when did that come out?
The one that I have out now, I put that one out maybe a couple years ago. Okay. I'm getting ready to release my new record, which is a little bit, it's kind of like a culmination of everything I just told you into one piece. Touring with Diana Ross and being on the stage with Michael Jackson and doing tour dates like that, and you see the world at its height of entertainment, sometimes church can be really small and really self-centered, you know. And so my new project, the Heat Check project, it's just like,
it's called the who?
Heat Check. It's just, it's different. You have to listen to it. It's inspirational soul music.
Okay.
I'll put it like that.
What's the name of the last album that came out?
The last album that came out was called CPR, the Crazy Praise record. Again, we bring in the rap, we bring in the DJs, we bring in the, you know, the talk box, the Antares, auto-tune.
Yeah, because when I heard it, you know what I'm saying, it was like, the vibe of it was like Kirk Franklin.
Yeah.
It was like real, like,
yeah,
come on y'all, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was really uplifting and really like party vibe, but still kind of church feel to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the lane that you're in as an artist, A-Tone the artist.
Yeah, this record is a little bit different than that one though. It's a progression, because this record is not really so much about church. It's more about you and how you relate to life as a person, and how the Creator, in whichever way you choose to view Him, your relationship with that, which is a bigger platform. It's more encompassing.
Okay. So, and they can find that on all the streaming outlets.
On all the streaming outlets, Spotify and all that.
Apple Music.
It's gonna be up.
iTunes.
It's gonna be up real soon, and you can go to atonebryan.com and get it. Put a website up, and develop it and build in that. And that's leading us to where we are now. Where's the money side?
Right.
The money side of stuff I learned in the last 5 years about how to own your rights to your music, how to publish your own music, how to do your shares, how to set up BMIs and ASCAP and that kind of stuff, and so that you can have somebody collect your money for you, and really just becoming an owner of your music, and not just giving it away to somebody to own it. It's just really a lot of information, and that's a whole nother podcast. You know, how do you gain ownership of it?
Yeah. So what's something, okay, so well, before I get into that question, where do you see yourself going from now into the next, like, 5 years, 10 years from now?
Well, I'm moving to a lot of different veins. I've been a person, like I said, I've done everything from flying in Learjets to driving buses. So my life spectrum is just kind of big. You know, with the social media thing out, I just look at trends. You know, I've always had a optimistic mind to be able to kind of look at stuff and see where it's going and be able to capitalize on what's the next thing. You know, when I look at social media and I look at the cell phones and how music is interacting with everything, you know, I'm developing content now. Okay. It's not so much as I'm writing a song. I'm developing content, and content behind the song. The song is not just a song. It's a movement. It has more to it than just you listen to the song. You know what I mean? Because now it's about creating buyers.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing now is creating websites. My music is to lead you into becoming a partner with me in some kind of way, in a financial way.
Now, I know we've been having conversations as far as, like, you know, different streaming outlets and things of that nature. Can you speak on that for the listeners that are listening? Because I know you're very informative as far as coming up with different ways of because the market right now is so saturated. Everybody's a producer, everybody is a rapper, everybody is a singer. The market is just completely saturated with content. So what you have to do now is figure out how to get your content to people that want to hear your content. That's going to be your challenge. But the real way you get paid off of it is taking the time out, and I call it the back door, and create your back door. How does your money flow? You know, when you create this song, having your ISRC code in there. If you're going to create a CD, having a barcode on it, so if it scans, you can get paid off of it. It's not, can you create the content? It's, how do I get paid off of it? And how do I get it to my people so that I can get paid off of it? Right.
So that's what the challenge is now with the new, and there's money everywhere. There's money to be made.
There's money flowing everywhere.
Everywhere.
You just have to set it up through whatever distribution you're going through. And, you know, as far as with, you know, with Sound Exchange or even with, you know, ASCAP, EMI, things of that nature. Because, like, I mean, the product that I release is through CD Baby. So I see, like, the YouTube licensing from the music getting played. And then not only that, but when I check my royalties, my quarter royalties for ASCAP, then I'll see on there like YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of people don't know this. They just upload their song to YouTube, get 150,000 streams or views on it, but don't make a dime off of it because they didn't put an IRC code in there. They didn't, link it to anything. There's no way for them to get paid. So YouTube gets that money, and I don't know what they do with it, but they don't send it to you as a courtesy, like, oh, you forgot to put your ISRC, here's a check for $200,000. So a lot of people are leaving money on the table because they don't know the information. So, and I had to learn the hard way. Even if somebody asks you, hey, send me a song, put the IRC code in there. So if they try to use it or sample it, that digital code is in that song.
Okay, so when someone says, how do you put the ISRC code in on a song like that?
It depends on your platform. If you're working in Fruity Loops, if you're working in...
I got you.
It depends. I use Studio One. There's a whole little page in there that'll show you how to put it in there. If you don't know how to get a code, just go online and type in their ISRC codes, and they'll send you one. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but you're talking about making millions, and you don't want to spend $30 or $100 to secure your million, then you don't really want to make money. And that was my problem. I didn't even know that you could do that, but now that I know, man, I take every effort that I can to make sure that my music is secure and that I'm protecting what I created.
So to basically sum everything up, as far as listeners that are listening, producers, songwriters, basically stay on top of your game.
Stay on top of your game. It should be called the business music and not the music business. If you want to get paid, you better learn the business part of it. And the business changes constantly. It's not like you can go read the Don Passman, everything you need to know about the music industry and get in the game now and think that's going to work. It don't work like that now. The game is completely different, dude. You got to learn the social media game. You got to learn the streaming game. You got to learn, the publishing game. You got to learn the copyright game. I mean, there's so many things you got to do now because...
It's interesting when you look on, like, Instagram, you see people that post videos and they get, like, all these thousands of videos. It's like, man, what if there was a way to get paid off of that?
There is a way to get paid off of it.
Those views,
There's a way to get paid off of it. You just have to know how to set your page up. What people are doing, I'm going to give you this for free, is you're putting your whole song up there. Don't do that. Put a piece of the song on there and then put a link in there and say, if you want to hear more of this song, press this link, which will take them to your iTunes or take them to another page or someplace else where they can purchase it. And what you have to start doing is turn those viewers into buyers. Now, you're not going to turn everybody into one, but if you're getting 3,500 likes on a picture or on a song, some of those people will buy. And so you got to turn those people. If you never ask them to buy, they're not going to buy.
Because if you do like the the law of average, which is if you got 3,500 people liking something, 10% of those people are willing to buy. And 10% of 3,500, what is 35?
There you go.
So if you got a song for 99 cents for $1, look at $35. At least make $35 off those 3,500.
And that's low. What if you had a whole CD available and they could pick through it and your record is hot, and you make $10 off of it every person that clicks on that thing? And there's ways you can set up likes and clicks with other companies. I ain't gonna give it all to you. There's a way that you can get paid off them likes and them clicks. Do your research on it. If you're getting 3,500 likes and clicks and you're not making no money off of that, call Skip and have him call me.
Well, you know what? Since we're getting to that, since we're getting to that, let everybody know how they can reach you if they want to, contact you, or where they can follow you and things of that nature.
You can follow me on Instagram at Atone Bryant. You can follow me on Facebook at Atone Bryant. You can go to my website at atonebryant.com and you can follow me there. I don't really do Twitter a lot yet because my hands are so full with the other things I'm doing, but I'm also Atone Bryant on Twitter. You can find me if you type Atone Bryant in your browser. You can find me, and I do consultation and I do sit down with people and talk to them about how you can generate money with what you're doing, because that's what it is. Don't be like me and just create music to create it to have fun. Now, and I had to have that gut check, because I'm like, man, I'm making all this music but I'm not getting paid. And something said to me, you never said you wanted to get paid. You only said you wanted to make music. You know, so you have to be careful. And, you know, I'm writing books and stuff now, too, about how your mindset and what you ask for determines what you get. And a lot of people don't know that. Only thing I said when I was a kid is, I want to make music and I want people to love it. And I did make music, and people did love it, but I forgot to add up, and I want to get paid off of it, too. Because if I would have added that in there when I went into it subconsciously, I would have been asking, well, how do I get paid off of this? And we don't do that because we don't ask the right stuff to the universe.
So you got to basically put out what it is you really want.
You got to put out what you really want, because most of the time we get what we want, and then we get mad, and then when we go back and look at the prayer that we prayed, we realize, oh, yeah, this kind of is what I prayed for. I wanted a girl that was just pretty. Yeah, but she didn't make no money and she had a bad attitude. But that's life, and that's the experience. So you have to go back and re-pray and say, you know what, I want a girl that's pretty, that have good attitude, that got money. She can. That's maturity.
Right.
And that's where mentorship come in, with people like you and myself talking to the younger generation like, hey, ask for the right stuff. Ask for the right stuff. If you do that, you'll get it. Trust me, it works.
Ask for the right stuff. Listen, Natone, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man, for lounging with Skip, man. You know what I'm saying?
Anytime, brother.
You know I had to hit you up, you know what I'm saying, to bring you in, to get you in on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? I just appreciate
My
the
pleasure,
fact that you
brother.
came through to just rap with the people. You know what I mean? Definitely. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you for having me, man. All love to your podcast. And,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
for your podcast,
Yeah.
when you pray tonight, ask for what you want it to be. If you want it to be a TV show on a major network, ask that. Don't say, I just want to have a podcast. Because guess what will happen?
I just have a podcast.
You just have a podcast.
Hey, and on that note, I want to thank y'all for listening. Until next time, peace.
We out.